Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In this video, we've got an epic story from the subreddit Relationships where a nice girlfriend turned into a Bridezilla as soon as the ring was on her finger. And then we finish off a video with a fantastic petty revenge that takes care of a Karen. Now, as usual, if you want to navigate through the different parts of the video, just use the timestamps below it. Now, let's get started with that first story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Deleted. I, 27 male, got engaged to my girlfriend, 25 female, of 3 years on New Year's Eve. She's become the ultimate Bridezilla, and I'm strongly considering breaking the engagement. Everyone says she's acting normal. What do I do? I've dated Courtney for about 3 years, and we're engaged. I set up a very romantic showboat proposal on New Year's Eve that I knew she'd love, and she was ecstatic. However, ever since she has said yes, she's become a completely different person. She's nasty, petulant, shallow, and rude. I'm appalled at the way she is treating her parents. I thought we'd have a small but nice wedding we'd pay for ourselves. She wants something rivaling a debutante ball and expects her parents to bankroll the whole thing. They are approaching retirement, and they were gracious enough to say they'd help with expenses. But Courtney keeps making more and more outrageous and expensive demands that I am positive will really set her parents back. She treats me horribly. She wants to talk weddings all the time, and while I wouldn't mind that, would even be excited to help plan the wedding, anytime I disagree or have a different opinion, she blows up at me. She wants things completely different than I do. Everything from the venue to the colors, the menu, the band. Everything is a fight. I wouldn't mind giving her mostly what she wants, but I'm mainly concerned about finances because everything she wants costs major money. And frankly, it's my wedding too, and I would like just a slight personal touch to mark the occasion. I thought maybe I could pick the cake or one of the colors or something. Nothing big, just a small contribution of my own. Hell nah, she flipped out. I endured a 2-hour tantrum over a mother effing cake for F's sake, and how it's her day and she's been dreaming of it since she was a little girl and blah blah blah. I don't yell or scream at her. I usually just try to reason with her quietly, but that only pisses her off more. Now, I'm just staying quiet or leaving the room, but that still pisses her off and she follows me around the apartment, so I'm forced to listen to her whining. And that's just one example. I am so sick of her attitude and treatment of everyone. I am ready to end the engagement. I don't know where the woman I fell in love with went, because Courtney has never acted like this before, but she's been replaced by this complete bitch I'm starting to hate. My friends and family are telling me it's just wedding planning stress, and she'll go back to normal once the wedding is over. But I don't think that's an excuse to act like a spoiled, selfish jerk who makes everyone miserable and treats her parents like they are an ATM instead of human beings who are getting on in years and deserve respect and consideration. There's a part of me that feels sad to throw away 3 years of bliss with a wonderful woman, but that woman is gone. I want out. I'm not going to shackle myself for life to a horrible person who treats other people as beneath her for a damn party. I am completely disgusted with her and her attitude. Should I end this nonsense or give it one more try? Is this who Courtney really is? Seems weird she'd flip a switch suddenly after 3 years of a blip-free radar. Or is she just being a typical bride? How do I even go about fixing it? Or should I run fast and far? How do I break an engagement if it comes down to that? The wedding is in 6 months if that makes a difference. Well, OP, this is a very difficult situation because there are 2 possible arguments. It could be that the wedding stress of her expectations and getting everything that she's ever wanted has transformed her into this Bridezilla monster, or this is really who she is and she's now showing you her true colors. Either way, being a bride is not an excuse to treat other people like crap, especially her fiancé. I would say that if you still believe that the Courtney that you fell in love with is in there somewhere, then try to salvage the situation. Talk to her up front and tell her everything that you feel, every single concern you have regarding her attitude. Just be honest and get it off your chest and see how she reacts. And on the flip side, if you believe that this is the true Courtney and this is the person that you would be married to for the rest of your life, then I would say run fast and far and break the engagement clean. Just say, you know what? You are not the person I fell in love with, and this is as far as we get to go. Goodbye, and I wish the best for you in your life. Anyways, that's what I think. What about you guys? What is your opinion? What kind of advice would you give OP? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's take a look at the community comments to see what they said. TXSC says, it's hard for me to relate since my wife and I had a very small wedding with zero stress. Wedding planning is stressful from what I hear, but it's not more stressful than having a baby, having to move, or getting laid off from a job. You have to really ask yourself, if she goes bat crap crazy over this, does that bode well for a marriage? I'd be freaking scared of what's to come if it were me. It's stressful, but it's also supposed to be joyous and fun. She wouldn't even let you help pick the cake. Crap, dude. I don't even know how to address that. You better hope you never have kids. And OP responds, I once asked if she'd like to elope so she wouldn't be so stressed, and she almost bit my head off. I'm at the end of my rope. Moon Aura says, you absolutely have to tell her exactly what you told us. Show her your post if need be. Let her parents know how you feel too. If she responds like she had no idea that she was being such a crazy selfish bitch and actually calms down, cuts expenses and includes you, it is your day too, then you have everything to look forward to, and most importantly, you have your lovely lady back. If her response remains vile, perhaps consider postponing the wedding to allow time to find out what is really going on with her. Yes, brides get nutty planning a wedding. They want it to be perfect. I know, I was one. But no time ever did I treat my parents or husband-to-be the way you describe. It sounds like something else may be going on. Otherwise, suggest counseling. Something is not right with her and you clearly love her. Postpone, get counseling. Congratulations and good luck. Lilith says, wow, no, that's not normal, nor is it acceptable. What's she going to do when you two go to buy a house? Is it too going to be all about her? And is everyone, you, going to be paying for her inflated expectations? Sit her down. You have a conversation about how this is affecting you, your relationship, and maybe even the relationship between her and others. If she can't see how incredibly poorly she's acting, and if she's not willing to immediately rectify her behavior, then you're better off getting out before marriage. From the Been There, Done That organization, trademark pending. Well, I think the community has given OP pretty good advice regarding his situation and how he should try to address it. Talk to her, sit her down, see how she responds, trying to see if this is really her or not, and then make a decision regarding the wedding, regarding the marriage, and regarding life. Now, OP has given us a pretty thorough and extensive update, so let's continue with that and see what OP ended up doing. So, I really appreciated most of the comments and took many of them to heart. I decided that despite Courtney being so nasty, it was quite different of her, and I didn't want to just throw 3 years away. Especially if the situation could be resolved, and because I really truly love her. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I've dated two-faced girls before, and they usually can't hide their true colors for 3 straight years unless they are sociopaths, which I sincerely doubt Courtney is. But I also know people change, so maybe Courtney had been a genuinely wonderful person and was just becoming a really awful one. Or maybe the wedding and stress was a trigger. Either way, I figured she and we deserved a chance. So after posting, I texted her asking if the next day we could discuss something important during a time when we weren't rushed or stressed from work or any prior engagements. She asked if it had to do with the wedding and I said yes. So she said tomorrow worked for her and she was happy I was finally getting on board with the wedding. That made me cringe inside, so I said nothing. The next day, we sat in the living room and she was grinning and brought out her laptop and all these notebooks and immediately started talking about plans for this and that and the other. I politely interrupted and said I didn't ask to meet with her to discuss wedding accessories, but the wedding itself. I told her I loved her very much, that was why I asked her to marry me, but I said she had changed quite a lot over the past 3 months. She tried to interrupt and argue, and I asked her to please let me finish because I had been thinking this for a while. I said I had noticed a lot of changes in her I did not like. I said she was becoming obsessed with materialism and costs. I said she was treating her parents like a money machine and not as generous people getting on in years and using their hard-earned retirement money to pay for monogrammed cocktail napkins and lobster ravioli. I said she treated retail people like lower life forms instead of as equals with jobs that would help her dream become possible. That she was treating her bridal party like indentured servants instead of as honored guests. Her friends have been expressing sadness and disgust over her abhorrent treatment of them, but use the excuse, well, it's her day, to justify it. But at this rate, Courtney would have been lucky to have any friends after the wedding. And worst of all, she was treating me like dirt. I said I felt like nothing but a prop in all of this insanity. That all she wanted to talk about was weddings. She didn't care about my wants or needs at all. And her typical mode of communicating lately was snapping nasty sarcastic things or yelling over placement cards. That I couldn't talk to her anymore without getting into a fight, and it felt impossible to communicate or connect with her anymore. She started to get very upset and tried arguing it wasn't true. That she was stressed and she'd been dreaming of this day her whole life, and she should get to have the wedding of her dreams. I said that would be hard to have if I didn't want to get married anymore. She got very still and quiet and asked me what I meant. So I said that I didn't know what happened to the woman I loved, but she seems to have gone missing and I want her back before I move forward with anything. Because I was seeing a disturbing lack of character and integrity in her and wasn't comfortable binding myself for life to it. She got very agitated, started crying, and then getting angry she'd already put a down payment on her dress and that the deadlines were approaching and we didn't have time for this dilly-dallying. She said all brides get a little crazy and I needed to just put up with it for a bit longer and that the wedding is more for the bride than the groom anyways, and you keep trying to interfere and make it small and unspecial. While I sat in shock that she had just glazed over everything I said and pretty much just told me to deal with it, she started to complain she thought we were going to discuss plans for the wedding, blah blah blah. So I just looked at her and said calmly there would be no further discussion about weddings and planning because the wedding was off. Her jaw fell open and said, "You can't do that!" And I said, "Yes, I absolutely can," and just did. Unbelievably, she then tried to corner me by saying she would still go forward with the wedding planning, and if everything was set and paid for and planned, I'd have to come because it was our wedding. I said, "I can't stop you from making further plans, but you will be standing by yourself at the altar because I'm not coming." She seemed stunned, like she couldn't fully comprehend, and asked if I was really breaking up with her. I said, "No, I'm not breaking up with you, but I am canceling the wedding. I don't like what I'm seeing, and I think we need counseling to sort this out because you seem to equate how deep our love is about how big of a party we throw and how much of our parents' money we spend. That isn't right or healthy, and we need to figure out if our priorities can match up for the span of a lifetime." She got pissed and started bawling and saying I was being a huge jerk and I didn't love her, didn't care, that I had been toying with her emotions and leading her on for years when I never wanted to get married, and why had I proposed to her if I was just going to back out on her and get cold feet when things were perfect? And that I should go to therapy to sort out my stereotypical male commitment issues. At that point, I had enough of the drama and theatrics and snapped that I was backing out because I didn't know I was getting engaged to a spoiled, selfish, narcissistic brat, and that if I was truly a commitment phobe, I'd have broken up with her completely instead of just postponing the wedding. I said I loved her and was willing to go to therapy and stick with her until we got our issues fixed, instead of taking the easy way out and dumping her to go find someone who wasn't such a shallow, self-absorbed control freak. Well, she flipped her crap and started to throw a fit, and I just shut down. I said, this discussion is over. I am going to look up a counselor for us and set up an appointment. If you want a prayer of making this work, you'll be there. I'm not putting up with any more tantrums or childish nonsense, because I know you're better than this, and we deserve better than this. I'm giving this one last chance. If you don't come to counseling, I'm ending this relationship. If you call me names or heap abuse on me or scream at me one more time, I'm ending this relationship. I've had enough of this horse crap. I then left to cool down for a few hours. When I came back, she had made a bed on the couch and was crying on it. I told her she can sleep with me if she wants to, and she just said that she didn't want to sleep with me. So I left her on the couch and went to bed. I made an appointment for us the next day and scheduled it a week in advance to give her time. Surprisingly, she came. We've had 2 sessions now, and she is becoming resentful and angry because the therapist is clearly on your side. Because she, the therapist, told her I'm not a monster with cold feet. But clearly a man who loves her, since I'm willing to work through this, and that she needs to figure out if a wedding is more important at the expense of a happy, lasting marriage. And asking her to think on why spending money equates love in her mind, and what she honestly thinks love is represented by. Not malicious questions, but truly thought-provoking ones that I never thought to ask myself. Courtney has not thrown any tantrums and has sort of calmed down since the incident, but she is much quieter and absolutely radiates anger and hurt. I've tried to still talk to her, surprise her with flowers and even a candlelight dinner to show her I still love her deeply, but she's been mostly unresponsive. So even though we are in therapy and she cooled her jets, I have this awful gut feeling this ship is sinking and it's a matter of when, not if, this ends. I'm honestly pretty effed up over it because I truly deeply love her and thought she was very special and unique and never expected this to happen. I want to work through it, but there's nothing I can do if she doesn't want to. And I can't marry someone who treats other people, including her own parents, like crap over what's supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. I'm still going to put my best foot forward and give it my all, so if this does end, I'll know that at least I did my best to make it work. I know I didn't handle this perfectly, but the times I've tried before to talk with her, she would either blow me off or just start screaming at me. I hate being angry and saying things that hurt her, but I was at the end of my rope and honestly had no idea what else I could do short of breaking up with her, which seemed too cold and harsh and sudden. I just wanted her to stop being a Bridezilla and to listen to me instead of ignoring or screaming at me. Okay, well, it seems to me that OP is doing everything he can to actually try to save this relationship and see if there's a glimpse of the woman that he loves in there somewhere to try to make this work. Unfortunately, being a deleted profile, there's not much more I can get from this. So I went through the comment section and found a little bit of information that kinda gives us a glimpse of what's going through OP's mind. So let's finish with that to close out this story. She's not speaking to most of her bridal party because after news of the broken engagement got around, she apparently tried to talk crap about me and they pretty much told her, "We love you, but you're lucky he didn't break up with you altogether." I don't think she was out to spin a malicious web of lies, but to cry and complain and rage and vent about me ruining her day. Sure, it's immature, but a lot of people use their friends as sounding boards to just get everything off their chest in an unedited and unfiltered way. It was mostly a one-time thing, and I expected it to happen, and don't begrudge her that. If anything, her friends have been helpful in pointing she was acting like, well, a bitch. How she's going to go forward from here is up to her. I'm not worried about accusations of abuse. Even if she pulled a stunt like that, no one would believe it for a second. Despite all that's happened, I think she still has enough character to not attempt to ruin my life in that way, and smart enough to know it's not happening. I think maybe most of her anger and hurt is over feeling misunderstood and really embarrassed. I think she might even feel a bit betrayed because everyone besides me was mostly enabling and encouraging her behavior by putting up with it and not calling her out. I'm trying to keep all of this in mind as I go forward, and I'm hoping if she is ashamed and embarrassed of how she acted, maybe there's hope for us. But it might just be wishful thinking on my part. And that's it. That's all I could find, and I think OP is being victim of the sunk cost fallacy. He's hanging on to a memory of a person that's no longer there. I personally believe that this relationship has been doomed since the moment OP told her about his concerns and she just dismissed all of them and told him to deal with it. And then again when they went to therapy and she dismissed the therapist because he was clearly on his side. So I do believe this is wishful thinking on OP's side. Hopefully he wised up and did what he had to do. Now, I know this story was interesting as hell, but it didn't have the best of closures. So how about we finish this video with a short petty revenge as a palate cleanser of sorts. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user 10sNE1, calling her fake quitting bluff. This happened years ago, but still makes me smile. I started working in a corporate office in a secretarial position for my first job after college. There were two older ladies who were also secretaries working in the office. One of them was just fine, but I spent most of my time sitting beside and working with Agnes. Agnes was quickly approaching retirement age, but wasn't going anywhere without a big push. This was in the days where we just started getting computers, and she was absolutely hopeless. She'd pull stuff like, "I can't answer the phone, I'm on the computer." Multitasking was not in this woman's repertoire. She was super fuzzy and annoying. If I ever came back from lunch 5 minutes late, she would exclaim loudly, "Oh my god, there you are! I was wondering what happened to you," making sure the whole office knew I was late. Meanwhile, she was usually late coming in the morning and often left early for various appointments. If I made a typo in a document, she would make sure the rest of the staff knew about it, loudly. She tended to pout when things didn't go her way and she would quit her job when someone pissed her off. And then my boss's boss would talk her into staying. I heard about this tactic of hers and one day, our boss did something that annoyed her and she quit again. My boss's boss was away that day, so I had my chance. I quickly advertised and planned a big retirement party for her. It was a done deal by the end of the day. People were dropping by and congratulating her and everyone looked forward to the party. At that point, I guess she figured it was too late to pull her usual shenanigans and she actually retired. I told my boss not to bother replacing her because it was damn easy to cover the little work she actually accomplished every day. Ah, OP, you did it. You saw that teeny tiny window of opportunity, you took it, and you hit a home run. Fantastic! Thanks for sharing, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.